Last-minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. It's okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as simple as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey y'all, and welcome to the NASM CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and today I'm going into the mailbag, and I'm pulling out more questions that you have asked. So this question comes from Coach Ray Renato. And Ray asked this question. All right, Coach, he said this. Greetings, Rick. Honestly, a big fan of yours. Phenomenal job on NASM CPT Podcast. I know you're super busy, cool dude, so I'll just get right to the point. A little about me. 4 years of professional experience in the fitness industry. NASM CPT, CNC, CES, PES. Nerd. In phase 4, this is the question. This is what Coach Ray is asking the question about. In phase 4, max strength, we have 1 to 5 rep max with a 3 to 5 minute rest. But phase 5, so that was phase 4, max strength. This is phase 5, the power phase. We have a 1 to 5 rep max with a 1 to 2 minute rest between pairs. That doesn't make too much sense to me since we're still doing some of the same movement of work on phase 5 as phase 4, 1 to 5 reps. But in phase 5, we have even more work because we're doing a superset with some plyometrics or for powerful movement. But then you have less rest. Thank you so much for your time on the podcast. It really helps out. That's from Coach Ray. So let's get into the question and try to understand what Coach Ray is asking and then what the answer is to that. And he makes a great point. Honestly, it's a great point. Phase 4, we've got max strength training. So I've got my textbook here, and I'm gonna pull it up right here. This is if you've got your textbook with you, you can go. So this is that NASM CPT textbook. 7th edition is what I'm looking at on page 708. It's going to give you kind of a sample workout, but within that, it's got the variables that you would go through. So skip over the warm-up because that's not the rest range. The rest range is specifically talking about what is the rest range at the what's the rest range during resistance training. So that's what we're going to look at. Rest range during resistance training. So let's go here. I've got my rest range during the resistance training. It says resistance training. My rest is max strength training, 2 to 4 minutes, 3 to 5 in some of our previous text. And let's be honest, if we're doing max strength, the 5 minutes may be beneficial. 3 to 5 minutes may be a beneficial choice to use. But then we flip over to the power phase. Now, remember, in NASM, power training, that power training level of the OPT model is a superset. It's like taking max strength and plyometrics and putting them together where you're creating something called post-activation potentiation. And the activation is the heavy lift. The activation is that heavy 1 to 5 rep max, and then it is supersetted with a lighter weight, usually about 10% of your 1 rep max. So if you're doing bench press and you can bench press, you're doing a 100-pound bench press for 1 to 5 reps, then you would do 10-pound ball and you would throw that for your 8 to 10 repetitions. So what it says here is that then you're going to have 1 to 2 minutes of rest between the superset, between the pairs. So you do the bench press and you do the med ball throw. You do the squat for 1 to 5 reps, and then you do box jump up, box jump downs, squat jumps, but you do that for 8 to 10 reps. And then you do another set. And then you do another set. You got 3 to 5 sets of that. And after you finish your third, fourth, or fifth set, however many you're going to do, then you can take the 5 minutes before going into something else. Why do you take the 5 minutes? To really recover more. We need to recover more. Well, sometimes 5 minutes is very important when it comes to that max strength lift. Why? Because you're not going to get your max strength lift unless you fully recover. That's why people that lift heavy, they go in and they have their protein drinks and they lift and then they just walk around what seems like for half an hour, but usually about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer sometimes, or they check their messages and they're on their phone a little bit and then they go, and they lift again. That's the sound they make. I'm making a sound. Then everybody makes that sound. I make this. That's my sound that I make. But not everybody does that. So I don't mean to project. I'm not projecting my stuff on you. But if you make that sound, you have friends. Just so you know, you have friends. In Jurassic Park, you have friends. But when you do that, you're lifting really heavy and then you take a break. Why? To recover your ATP, which is why creatine phosphate, phosphocreatine is a really good, important part of lifting heavier because it allows us to pull those phosphates off and to build up the ATP, the phosphates, because when the phosphate comes off, it is not a triphosphate, it is a diphosphate. And then we need to pull another phosphate to make it a triphosphate again to be able to lift. Rick, you're talking too much. I'm not talking enough. There's more. So now I can lift more, but I can recover faster. And that's why creatine is such a popular supplement, because it allows me to recover faster and be able to lift longer, maybe even get a few more reps because of my phosphates that are there. But I need the rest. You got to have the rest when you do your max strength lifts. And the question Coach Ray asked, a legitimate question that says, why are you doing a 1 to 5 rep max in max strength? And then when you go and you do your 1 to 5 reps in power, and then you superset it with plyometrics or explosive movements, why are you resting less when there's actually more volume in that? And I will tell you the answer after news from our sponsors. The NASM CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program. Clients enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. All right, let me tell you a little bit about why power is set up the way it is. So there's actually, in the OPT model, there used to be 7 phases of the NASM OPT model. And then we took the first phase out and we turned it into the corrective exercise course. And then we took the 7th phase out and we turned it into the performance enhancement course. Basically, kind of, not exactly, but basically. Why? Because there originally were seven different phases of the OPT model. One was corrective exercise, then it would go stabilization endurance, then it would go into strength endurance, and then hypertrophy or muscular development, then it would go to max strength, and then it would go to power, and then it would go to max power. Well, what is max power? Well, in the PES, you'll see that these are just the plyometric works. These are the explosive things, the throwing of the medicine ball, the box jump downs, the box jump ups, the reactive jumps. These are the ladder drills and the cone drills. These are a lot to do with different speed and agility assessments, like the shark skill test. And you got to have time to recover from those. I want you to think about this phase of the OPT model where it's power, not max power, where you're only doing plyos. You're doing the post-activation potentiation, but also think of it as kind of like a power endurance workout. And that will change your perspective then on how you see it. Because if I'm doing power endurance, not only am I trying to build my max strength and trying to build my speed of force production, but not every time am I allowing myself to fully recuperate. Can you do it that way? Yes, without a doubt. take a full 5-minute break, and then do it again. But you lose a lot of time in the training session. So what we do is that kind of like the first set of every superset, you're going to get the most out of, but you're not going to fully recuperate by the second, third, fourth set, fifth set. Not going to fully recuperate, which reminds me a lot of sports. And this generally is a very sports-focused phase in the NASM OPT model. So we're not fully recuperating, but we're giving ourselves enough time to recuperate. We're giving ourselves a lot more time to rest than you would in basketball, but we're also giving ourselves a lot more time to rest than you would, less time to rest than you would otherwise do. So that now you're working not just power, but power and a little bit of endurance. You're using this at a depleted ATP state and still trying to produce max force, 1 to 5 reps, and then max speed, 8 to 12 repetitions. Can you rest the full 5 minutes and be fully recuperated and much better and ready to go? Absolutely, you can. But the reason that this is done is to also build a little bit of endurance when it comes to producing power at high levels. So I'm not fully recuperated. Can I do it again? Because every time they say hike in a football game, you did everything all out as best as you could, and you did not fully recuperate. And yet, in 20, 30 seconds, or for what seems to be days at a time, if you're watching football and you're like, geez, can we just get to the next play, please? Then you're not always fully recuperated. You're not always ready to go. So we are training our bodies in that way as well. Nothing wrong with resting the full 5 minutes. You make such a valid question, and I think that it deserved a lengthy answer and special consideration because you're a thinking man. Like, you literally thought about this and you were like, please explain to me why this makes sense. And our rationale may not be fully exhibited when it comes to the content. And so we'll put it in that way. Let's get fully recuperated between supersets. Between different exercises. So I do my supersets, my one exercise supersetted with another, and I do 3 to 5 of those. And then at the end of that, let me fully recuperate and let me go into my next series of supersets. But when I'm doing that superset, you can do the full 5 minutes if you want to, or you can limit your recuperation and continue to produce and challenge your body to recuperate a little bit faster. Challenge your body to fight through it, to get those extra reps, even though you are not fully recuperated. I've said recuperated more in this podcast than I maybe have said in my entire life. Recuperated. It's going to be hard to beat that now. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family. And if you haven't done so, take a moment right now. Just pull over in your car and leave a review. I'm just kidding. Don't pull over in your car. Do it while driving. No, just kidding. Don't do that. But if you could leave a review, that'd be greatly appreciated. And if you want to reach out to me, like Coach Ray did, hit me up. You can do so on Instagram at dr.rickrichey or email me rick.richey@nasm.org. Keep inspiring people to fitness. Thank you for listening. This has been the NASM CPT Podcast.